Hi, it's Kim at the Movement Hub. I'm going to take you through some lunge variations. So we're going to look at ways that you can play around with your basic lunge position, whether that's forward, backward, static, or even sideways. So Primal Flow is something that we use at the Movement Hub. We use it as part of our programming, sometimes in its entirety as a workout or as a warm-up before a session where you might be lifting weights. We have classes as well which are solely Primal Flow. So Primal Flow looks at these movement patterns and how we might incorporate whole body, looking at like an integrated move rather than just looking at legs. So in terms of the lunge, if you've watched our squat video, you'll know that there are various things that you can play around with, which is similar if you've watched that squat. So we've got depth, for example. So if you get yourself into kind of like a static lunge position, so if you're going to look at like maybe 90 degrees between in that angle there on both legs, up and down is your lunge movement. So generally we think about legs below hips, and you're going to step forward and step back. So you've got that. You're not going to step behind, you're going to step in line with your hips. And then you're going to work on your depth. So the further you can get down, greater range of movement you've got. So this is your top position, this is your bottom position. So anywhere in between there, you can play around with in terms of what you're able to do, but also just to challenge you in different ways. So again, we can play around with those kind of foot positions. So you could go a little bit wider. You could also come in a little bit narrower. And then we can play around with feet. So you could, in a lunge position, bring that front foot in towards the body. You could take it out. And you can do the same with your back foot, so you could rotate it in and you could rotate it out. So they're all going to challenge your joints differently. We can do the same sideways. So side lunge, generally a nice wide position. Again, what feels comfortable for you. So you've got depth again, your top position. If you can get all the way down, so you're almost sitting on your heel or the floor, and then back, that's your full range. So again, you've got other variations. But what you're looking to do with this one is kind of stick your bum back a little bit, which allows you to get a bit of depth. You're not bending at the hips, you're still sort of dropping down towards the floor. And again, you can play around with foot positions for those side lunges. And again, that might affect the depth that you can get with those variations. So if we want to look at adding upper body so that we've got a bit more of an integrated move, we can add some rotation, we can add some reaching again, we can add some side to side movement. So if you're in a lunge, if you start with your arms overhead, you can push up, try and keep those elbows straight. So an overhead lunge, you might then add a side bend, so you're pushing your hip out to the side. We might also add some rotation. We can rotate the other way as well. And we might also add maybe like a reach forward, as far back as you can, or even a reach back. So we're adding in those different movements, incorporating the whole body. So again, if you're reaching up, for example, think about trying to imagine holding up the ceiling above you, keeping those elbows almost locked out. So they're not just in the air. You're actually thinking about what you're doing with your upper body. We also looked at like adding kind of like contractions. So you could lunge and row, for example. So you're actually pulling your shoulder blades back together. So imagine you're trying to hold on to something, you're pulling it towards you. So think about those contractions that you're using in your body as you perform the full integrated movements. So there's some lunge ideas for you.